So one point that I'm trying to make at this point is that we are living in the F around and find out phase. We're in the F find out phase. So we just had this storm, this flood in Texas, excuse me. It has evidently killed over 100 people. And they're saying the reason Trump defunded the National Weather Service, leading to the deaths of all those girls in Texas, is because Project 2025 thought weather prediction science was tied to evidence of climate change. And I guess my point in this video is to further show the Trump administration is just evincing denial of reality, and that people are going to pay and people are going to die needlessly because of this unwillingness to recognize reality. The ideological dismantling of NOAA and National Weather Service begins on page 674, part 2025, and is well on the way. Let me read this to you. Sorry. Just talking about the money the Weather Service gets. Colossal operations become the main drivers of the climate change alarm industry, and as such is harmful to the future of U.S. prosperity. White prosperity. The industry's mission emphasis on prediction and management seems to designed around the fatal conceit of planning for the unplannable. That is not to say NOAA is useless, but its current organization corrupts its useful functions. Is she broken up and downsized? NOAA today just boasts is a provider of environmental information services, a provider of environmental stewardship services, and a leader in applied scientific research. Each of these functions be provided commercially, likely at lower cost and higher quality. So you're talking about profiting off of systems that are designed to just protect us from emergencies. This is. This is literally like we're going into repo man. The things that traditionally were helpful of all people that live in America. Let's break it up and let's make $1 out of emergency awareness. And I just think it was important to point out here that they literally did that. I don't know why right now I feel between this flood that killed over 100 people and the business, this statement is made by Epstein that evidently there was no evidence Epstein was blackmailing anybody. There was no evidence that basically tied up loose ends with Epstein. I believe Ghislaine Maxwell might wind up dead. Everybody thinks she'll get pardoned. I don't think so. Trump is a nasty, nasty son of a bitch. And unless he can use people or they do something for him, why would he pardon them? He pardons people that do him a favor. Like the January 6ers, to show everybody that the law doesn't really matter. And that white supremacy matters. And if you are upholding white supremacy, he got your back. And if you get in the way of white supremacy, I don't care if you got a badge or otherwise, you might be in big trouble. It's just so wild watching Pam Bondi and the rest of these crackers when Trump got elected hold up the binders. And they've got the Epstein client list on their desk and all this other bullshit. And then turn around like 6 months in and say, no, there's no evidence. There's no client list. No, we don't know anything. See the two things, white people. Only two things happened yesterday. A, somebody out there is very scared. And somebody basically made a decision to be like, nah, it's stop. The buck stops here. Or they have just decided there was never any documents. This was like the Hunter Biden stuff. It's just something to use law enforcement to scare people. This is like a 21st century version of the Satanic Panic. It's one or the other. But the point is that this is how dumb Caucasians are. You got tricked. You got conned. You don't even care. That this man literally ran on draining the swamp and all this crap. And now he's telling you there was no swamp. As I said, I believe Ghislaine Waxman, here I think she's going to get a deal. Get a deal to do what? He's telling you there won't be no more prosecutions. You mean to read the white paper, the release this Department did yesterday? There's no more prosecutions, which means there's no more deal. You have nothing to give me. The case is closed. And Americans, white people are so stupid that they'll probably believe Trump. Just move on to the next thing. Cannibal pedophiles and Jewish spaces. These white people are stupid. They're dumb. They'll believe it. I looked at something this morning. They were talking about how like now we understand how Guyana, Jim Jones was able to get all 100 people to drink the Kool-Aid. Yes, that's how dumb white people are. That's how dumb they are. This whole conspiracy-based stuff, when you could have just had the rich pay their fair share, and we would have been okay. But now you just created all these tax cuts for the rich, and in doing so, you've taken away from organized human life. This is what you did. 17 million people lost health care. 18 million kids lost school meals. 3 million Americans lost food assistance. And 3.5 trillion were added to the deficit. All for a tax cut for Trump's billionaire donors. That's what you got. He didn't get justice against pedophiles. And I just keep going back to this is how dumb white people really are. This is how dumb they are. He literally ran on this shit just to say, no big deal. I think about what James Baldwin talked about, how, the kids belong to us. The children are always ours, every single one of them, all over the world, the globe. I'm beginning to suspect that whoever is incapable of recognizing this may be incapable of morality. Agreed. I put that out there in reference to this notion that in calling Trump accountable for the flood in Texas, somehow we don't care about children. That's a lie. It's sick. It's disgusting. We just understand that these are consequences. It's like driving drunk or something. Me being mad about why the hell you was driving drunk doesn't take away from the people you hurt in the other car. I can care about both. It does not mean that I don't care about the house you ran into when you were drunk, or the person you ran over, or the person. No. But I'm acknowledging bad decisions you made that led to children losing their lives. Just another example of how for Republicans, like, my disagreement with them is moral. That's right. I have a moral disagreement with the GOP, with Trumpers, with the way they think. It is a basic moral disagreement. And for me, it's just another understanding that none of this stuff means anything. This is the takeover. This is the hollowing out of America. This is living in RoboCop. This is the hollowing out of America. This is the collapse. This is us losing some of these basic things that our ancestors depended on, and that now we're on our own, and that people could celebrate. They could celebrate that and then try to twist it around on us that somehow in a disaster that they created, we don't care about their children. I just felt like this was a video need to be made. These are dumb people. He lied to you about Epstein. He's lying to you about the National Weather Service being defunded. We had a tornado hit. I think it was in Kentucky a month or two ago. They killed like 20 people. I talked about that then. That nobody, when the National Weather Service was working that weekend because he cut the budgets. There was nobody working when it hit. I know that the end wages of it, white man's going to make this out. It's like the technology doesn't work. Put the human face on it. No, it doesn't. That's not true. That's like me getting in your car and cutting the brake lines and putting holes in your holes in your radiator, holes in it, and sticking a knife in your tires, and then being like, "Why is the car driving like this?" That's not the way a car is supposed to run. That's not how that works, dude. I'm doing some to your tires and I busted your headlights and I unplug your bulbs and your lights and stuff. That's not how the car's supposed to run. You're making it not run properly, and we see it. And it just to me was, I feel bad for the kids because as a young person, I remember thinking that there's adults in the room, and you get to the point 35, well, younger than this, but you realize that there's no adults in the room. What there are is people who want to play us and manipulate us and pimp the American, our accessibility. They want to pimp America, and they want to use that flag to pimp us. That to me is what you learn as when you get older. There are no grown-ups. That's why I'm a survivor. That's why I'm a collapsed person. You're on your own. You're on your own.